Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise Adamant Cup. We are into week three of the group round, and these first couple weeks have gone by so fast, but they've been jam packed full of action, and we intend to continue the action today with a great match between Starman and AsmadiGames. My name is Rex Raoul, and I'm joined in the booth by Deathlike. Deathlike, what are you looking forward to seeing in today's race?
Seeing what's at the queen spot at Town of Monsters, because everyone loves the king and queen spots, as they can be very frustrating for runners and can be a lot of fun just as well.
Yeah, we also have that vanilla Mazamune altar as one of the objectives today. And remember, the Adamant Cup, you have to complete all 7 objectives in order to get it done. That vanilla Mazamune altar, that's one where a lot of people really hope to see that alt gauntlet, because we have some of the nastiest random encounters in the game found down there at the lunar core. This match today is in the Full Moon group. Starman and AsmadiGames both 1-1 going into this. Looking at a group that we've got a 3-0 runner in Morpheus and 3-1 in Flurry 14. Both of these runners have already taken a loss to Flurry, so they are really hoping to make their way up this week to get into that play-in match.
Yeah, I think, judging from the records, both of them have a pretty good shot at getting the last spot. So, I mean, this win will at least give them the opportunity to get there. I mean, the top spot can be, the top 2 spots are very competitive. So they're both going to either get in the play-in match, and so whoever essentially the runner-up on the standings will be their opponent going forward. So yeah, so good luck to both of them. We're just nearly be able to start. I think the more interesting, some unrelated objective on the list that is kind of quirky is the Baron Castle basement, where it's as competitive as the King Queen Feymarsh spots. Though and usually you can try to route it in a Baron, depending on how your party constructed. We have a Sid start. So we at least have a tank at least capable of at least surviving some of the early game. Very good. And also alternative anchor if as an emergency. Likely not, but we'll see how this plays out.
Yeah, Sid has a bit of a higher level to start with, so it does provide a little bit of extra oomph in the early game. And yeah, that basement altar in Baron, definitely known for very high magic attack and pretty high HP for when you can get it, depending, of course, on when that Baron key is found. Sid should help. Sid might also be a reason to take some trap chests early, depending on what items and gear we can get as well. And of course, whoever that second character is going to play a big part of that as well.
Yeah, if you're runners, you're hoping for maybe an edge to make that early dive at Evelyn Castle, and that's the dream. Team high HP.
Yeah, exactly. But now our runners are off, and we're seeing that second character is Old Mantella, very useful utility character. We have a Lunar Sparkle, just a Lit Bolt for the item there. It's actually kind of a nice item with Sid because he's got that higher HP, and the Lit Bolt damage is based on your current HP. So that might be handy in the early game, trying to wipe out if you've got a boss or a fight with a number of monsters in it.
Yeah, it's certainly useful, but not enough to say defeat some of the like the Black Cats, who if you don't do enough damage, they will punish you with paralysis or instant death. Instant death being a lot more frightening. But certainly useful in other spots. Tella, being the utility mage, will make some of the routing a lot easier, as Exit, a very useful utility spell early game. Hey, there's an edge with elements. Might not want to take it quite yet. I'm not. At least worth the peak. Although maybe better routing it later with the thing. Whatever. You want the edge, and oh, there's the Baron key. So. I'm not sure about the early dive, but maybe if you do, it'd be easier for Baron routing. You do, Baron in, and then do the castle immediately after.
Yeah, that might be something that the runners will keep in mind with that early Baron key. We see Starman looting the free treasury, where Asmadi took a couple chests in Baron to start that looting procedure. We'll see where they go after this. And yeah, that Baron key, it also opens up a gated equipment shop, so you might be able to find some of the higher end gear in there. Also saw a ninja sword in the bottom of Toria. That's something that once that edge gets, he's really going to like to have that.
Yeah, the ninja sword, one of the more important weapons for edge. Better if you have a pair, but having one gets him most of the way there. I mean, obviously, and there are better weapons, but ninja, when you have a ninja on edge, you're pretty sure you're gonna have a good time with edge. Have an edge's problem early game is due to the C-Nikki flag that hey, you only get one weapon. That one weapon might be a charm claw or something like, or a silver dagger. Not exciting. Getting a strong first weapon. You can find plenty of other weapons to blend with it. And it looks like Starman is doing a cheeky watery pass check for some loot as this area has potential tier 6 items, which can be very valuable in the early game. You might get a power shirt, and that usually what gets a lot of characters going, hey, there's an Avenger, so if we find a Sid or Cecil, they will have a good time.
Yeah, Kane or Cecil, of course. But looks like Asmadi not going to go to that watery pass. The watery pass is one that's not super popular, but it's decent popular enough because of that higher loot tier you talk about. But it looks like Asmadi content to go into the basement of Damsian. Not quite as high loot, but it's closer to things that you are definitely going to do with that pink tail objective. We definitely are going to need the hook at some point. And now Starman going up to Mount Hobbs to get her the free fight and Iridia.
Not the place where you want the free fight, but you'll take whatever you can get early. I saw a rune axe, which is probably one of Sid's better early weapons, can be used on a Kane or Cecil when you need to mage mash things, and so there is some value. Not the best of values, but certainly you're one of the better utilities. Probably strongest axe for Sid available. Sid's better weaponry comes with in the form of a bow and arrow, but for now, even if you don't use it, it's good money.
That's true as well. Also, getting a little bit of a accuracy boost by having Sid in the middle position really helps out that rune axe as well, because what axe is really lacking isn't power, it's that accuracy. So getting a little boost, which any character who's in the middle position will get a boost in Final Fantasy IV. And so that's something to keep in mind. If you have to move them out of that spot, then that rune axe becomes a lot more unreliable in big damage situations. Looks like Asmadi about ready to head into the Antlion Cave to do our next key item check. We'll see how much looting he wants to do in there too. How comfortable runners feel with looting with less is a big thing in this flag set.
It's true. You want to make the most of your looting. The current flag set in the group stage is T Wildish, which means that, and it's also set to limit to tier 7 equipment. So in tier 7 is pretty up there. It's not crystal sword, adamant armor level, but it's adjacent, and you can find an Avenger practically anywhere if given the chance, and that's always a good find. So can be very useful. For right now, I think a lot of the lower tier equipment is good enough. Sometimes for weaker parties, having more Jade items will make your early overworld traversal a bit easier. Looks like we're gonna check the summon on Mount Hobbs for Rydia, because Chocobo good enough, kind of good enough early game, but you might want to supplement it with one other spell. Hopefully something not a joke, but we'll see how that turns out.
And AsmadiGames finding another one of the quote-unquote free fights down at the bottom of the Lion Cave, and the 3 Dark Imps easily taken out with that Rune Axe. That's another one. You had mentioned, Death Like That, the King Queen Evelyn you don't want to see early. This is another one you don't want to see early. You'd rather see those in those spots that are required. The Queen spot at the Fey March, at the Masamune altar. But not going to complain about getting a Darkness Crystal this early. That opens up the Moon, the Giant, as well as a free character check and a shop.
I would just do immediately go to the Moon, get the character check done immediately, because if it's a Fu or Cecil, you want that character. Well, maybe not Cecil per se, in the sense that you still have to do mount ordeals, but you want that. You need that check done. It's just like doing like you would. It's better. Almost even better to skip Mount Hobbs, which Asmadi is resetting out of, just because hey, free check from the key item versus having to do the boss, which is a free boss. But do you want the Radia? That's the question. Yeah, that Asmadi asked and said, no.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where it's like, depending on what party you have, you might want to take it because it's a free fight, you get that experience. But you're starting with Sid and Tella. They're 2 characters that absolutely don't need experience. If you want the Rydia, then you want to take her and get her that experience right away, like we saw Starman do, and that's fine. But if you don't want Rydia at all, just resetting makes a lot of sense. So AsmadiGames with the heads up play and heading to FABUL as a result. Neither of the learners have headed over to City quite yet. We'll see if Starman, now that they've got their Darkness Crystal, wants to make that play to the Moon of the character, and looks like he is going over there. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it looks like we're gonna probably route it directly into ordeals, ideally, especially if there's a Cecil in the lunar Dia spot on the Moon. There's you just want that Tele online, and some people try. Due to kind of requirements, probably want to fade fade of the FABUL fight, because hey, I'm gonna have to be here because for a pan check. Why do it now? One of the things that a lot of people try to think of doing, or at least deferring, is FABUL. Sometimes it might not be worth doing that. May not be skipping that check. Sometimes there are maybe a Darkness or so. This instance, it's you can't fade Antline. That's just not in the. That's just not something you want to do. You want the reason to do FABUL is you need the XP on like a Rydia, which would be of more value to Starman. But you can still also do that on Monarch deals, which is 3 bosses. 2 of them will give you XP. Unless the 3rd spot is an alt gauntlet, in which case, that Radia will get all the XP she needs. She needs to get at least to level 15, learn Stop, and she'll have at least some decent utility having Warp and Toad for some places and some certain bosses.
And Asmadi had gone to FABUL, finds Valvelus there. That is a quite tricky fight with this team right now, so gonna need some more tools in order to defeat that. Or you can always get Kane, which can stop that nasty spinning form. But with that, both of our runners now on the Moon. We see some good items in the shop. Both of our runners heading over to the Hummingway abode before checking the character. And then we'll see what the character is and how they decide to proceed once they get that information as well.
Yeah, it's a good time to sell junk. I mean, I know there's a lot of looting, but there's a lot of junk. I see a lot of junk. I know we sometimes I like loot gobbling, just collect all the things, but not everything is value. But if you're collecting things, you want to use it for selling, and this flag set there is no selling deficit. Everything is sold at half price, and that is plenty valuable. Something even if you sell the Rune Axe, you're getting quite a bit back from it. So completely, sometimes it is worth your time if you're gonna make sure you're gonna sell your items, even if you're not gonna use it. Money is money. You can buy it for actual things you really want. And Asmadi picked up a life staff for looting. I'm sure there's going to be a peek on what is on here, and it's probably not trivial.
And the character in the Lunar Dais is Edward the Bard. That is probably not what Starman is hoping to find there. I'm sure Asmadi's going to do that. That was a blue robe, I believe. In the Cave Bahamut. So that is either going to be a very punchy water hag or a very annoying alt comment.
Well, if your grind is if you're looking for a grind, it sounds like a challenge to me. I mean, why not? If you have to grind, having it be there, not the worst place, but we probably would like some hourglasses to kind of soothe those fights, make those fights not as terrible as they possibly could be. As I think the sequence ends with 2 King Ryus can easily devastate any party that is not healthy. So probably, at least keep in the back of the mind. We'll still have to see what it actually is when we find the blue robe someplace else.
Yeah, absolutely. AsmadiGames now picking up their Bard and going to be back to the blue planet. Starman is going right to Mount Ordeals. Finds Golbez in the first spot there. Not a scary spot for Golbez, but wherever you find him, it's going to be annoying and long.
I think looks like 2 people will have to die, as the sequence requires essentially 2 people dead before the real fight starts. So ideally, I'm not sure if we really want the Bardware unless we find a spoon at the end of this. So Tella can take a nap, because with XP we don't really want on Tella. Sid, it's whatever. Ideally Rydia or Edward, probably Rydia, at least leaning towards Rydia, unless you think you're gonna get the spoon. So hoping that the right character. Oh well, this is unfortunate. Sid is not the lowest HP, will pretty much die in any spell hit. So turns might not be in order. It looks like
oh wow,
yeah, the reset is happening.
Yeah, if a Starveil could get off, Starman might have been able to do it, but no, going to take a random fight here on the top of Mount Ordeals. Want to get a little bit of experience on this team before taking a fight. Asmadi kind of flying back and forth, thinking, do I want to do Ordeals or do I want to try that Baron Inn fight and get edge on my team right away? But instead, opts to go for a little bit more experience by going up to Mount Ordeals. Is not going to be very happy once they find that Golbez up at the top of the mountain.
Looks like Starman decided, I don't want Rydia, I want Edward to survive this. And it makes sense, since we're guaranteed 2 characters to stay alive. Having kind of rigging this in Starman's favor makes it a good decision. Like if you think Edward's gonna benefit you long down the road, just force it with a random fight, kill off the characters you don't want the XP from. This makes sense. Not ideal, but better than nothing. Sid will probably survive the spells. Where Edward is kind of like a 50-50 shot once out of the paralysis phase, the talking phase of Golbez.
And while Asmadi was walking up the mountain, they were looting where Starman wasn't. Asmadi found I think that it was either a Mirasame or a Mazamune in one of the chests there. So with that and the ninja sword that was found in Toria, once they get that edge in Baron Inn, that is going to be a strong ninja.
Yeah, that's literally getting edge online. Muramasa doesn't matter. That's plenty power. Like, get it. Weapons in the game. It's not quite Cecil Burr level weaponry, but on Edge, Edge is practically the second best berserker available, and having essentially 2 ninja or better blades, that is the dream for an Edge. You know who's gonna kind of power your team through certain battles, like Val, like an Ogo. Those bosses where punching them is no question. You do it and don't think too hard about it.
Starman now through that Golbez fight, making the adjustment, reviving the fallen party members, getting ready for that second fight. Going to keep Tella on the ground. Looks like planning on utilizing him as the anchor throughout the game. But we'll have some utility purpose once this mountain is completed. But we're about to see who the boss in that back attack is. And after those couple free fights at first, they've been all kind of nasty. Let's see if the trend continues. And we just get Dark Knight Cecil here. And I think with Sid's pool of HP, this shouldn't be too tough.
Yeah, probably want to put bring back at least one character with Sid after the third wave, as that character needs experience. Decided, hey, it's Rydia. It's not the worst, and not the worst decision. One of the things could have been done, like for the Golbus fight, is at least in terms of Starman, because he has the Edward. But they both have Edward. Is to actually hide Edward, so it's actually one less target for Golbez to kind of take down. Like, you only need 2 live characters, and having, like, say, a Kane jump or an Edward hide actually counts as a character that's downed. So it kind of one of those niche things that you may want to try to get your characters more characters available and alive. That's assuming you want the XP on Edward in this case. But looks like Starman is gambling, not seeing hope. Hope it's not Blarg at the very end, because even though I guess the Dark Knight Cecil, not too worried about redoing that, but not a key item that we need. So, but it's a turtle, so turtle.
Yeah, the turtle shouldn't be too difficult here. Sid should be able to take him down pretty quickly. And Asmadi right behind Starman now hasn't taken that. Does not. The difference right now is Starman has that call already on the team. Asmadi does not. After this, both of our runners are going to be forced to Baron. We've got both the Inn, and since we got the Baron Key, we've got the Baron Defense, Baron Liberation. That could potentially be our underground access, since this is a Zonk. But I mean, a ninja hat is always nice to have on. Any pieces of equipment that adjust character's agility can be used to manipulate things, especially as we get later in the game, to make some bosses a lot easier to deal with.
Certainly. I also find that ninja hats are nice for a kind of a late game berserker equipment. The extra agility, try to get the extra multiplier from agility, but also giving the opportunity to attack more. Not so, I mean, we'll have an edge. Edge would have been probably more useful in some ways early in the overworld, but given that kind of locked behind the elements and whatever's at the Baron's 2 fight around the inn, sometimes there are some nasty bosses that could be behind, like Ogo, but it should be good enough for Sid to take down, at least this early. Looks like Starman's doing FABUL, because I think probably needs a little more XP on Rydia, maybe. If you're not going for the character, it's probably because you want a little more XP to go into that fight.
Right, but Starman hasn't been there before and doesn't know that this is going to be that nasty Valvulus here, so it's probably gonna end up resetting out of this as well. Whereas Asmadi already knows that we'll probably head straight over to Varian after this. Once Ninja Edge is on the team, the Valvulus is a lot easier to deal with than it is right now.
Yeah, Sid with an inaccurate rock weapon. I mean, you might get a shot in. It's not. Starman will immediately find out whether this was a good idea and probably might reset. Probably think, yep, there it is. There's the reset. Didn't like the result. I'm not quite sure if the Sid is back row glitched, as that flag is on, allowing for glitches in the later bracket rounds. That glitch not available, so Sid would have to be front and center to deal proper damage. If it's back row, yes. So he's back row glitch. So hey, free tiara, good for Rydia. That's definitely worth the pickup. And look, hey, here's the cure that ails him, and Starman will probably do that fight because you're there.
Yep, and the elements at least are not going to be an issue. It's going to be the question of who's in the second boss spot, because that's the one that's the difficult one to deal with. The first one is a very low HP spot. Sid able to one-shot it, but Here we go. The truth is, it is CPU, so that is definitely doable. It might be a little bit annoying. It's all CPU is another one, kind of like Galvez, almost always somewhat annoying, but it's not going to kill you.
Yeah, the attacker using an HP-based attack only does 10% of the maximum HP of the character. So it will take 10, usually 11, if rounded from non-zero. Tella would be hit 10 times and die, whereas everyone else not so bad. Looks like we don't want the Bard, and Sid will probably take care of it. Probably could use a Berserker though. Manual probably better off doing that instead of trying to invoke Globe 199, which is one of the highest damaging spells, raw power, right next to the Mega Nuke, not the summon version, but the monster version.
And Asmadi has decided to loot the chests in the Baron weapon shop. Finds a self-summon, which I think Starman would be really nice to have right now, as well as a bandana, which is, a piece of headgear that I always like to find personally.
Yeah, I mean, headgear underrated. I mean, there aren't too many options. I mean, they're all for I would call monk gear. Anything that a monk can equip is pretty strong. So stat boosts out, and we get a tower key. So we know whatever is locked behind Val in Fabul. So it's hook or magma, and that will maybe behind Baron. Sorry, forgetting about that. So, but the follow up here is to to liberate Baron Castle, as there are 2 checks, probable focus on 1, but 3 bosses, 2 required to liberate Baron, and 2 key items, 1 from the Baron liberation, 1 for the Odin summon spot.
Yeah, and that Odin summon spot being one of our objectives might be peaked at here, probably a little too low on levels to actually do it right now, but getting the knowledge of what's there will also be important, so that they know when they can go back and check it as well. And if it is something that they can do now, then all the better. We see the swag video over there on AsmadiGames side to defeat the CPU. One of my favorite strategies of getting through a CPU fight is to throw rocks at them, and it works there. Tower key gained by Asmadi. Once again, going to be right on Starman's heels.
Yeah, I think this is also a good check to do. Instead of doing Fabul, doing this. You want the extra character. You want to find a replacement for either Sid or Rydia. It has probably ideally a Berserker, but a Fu or Cecil will just literally change the dynamics easily.
Well, I mean, that's true, but also we know that because of the logic of this flag set, the way underground is not the only way underground is not going to be gated by valves. So we know that this Baron is going to lead to the underground. So that's the other reason why. And then if this ends up being if it ends up being a hook, then you might go to Valve for a little bit more experience beforehand, or you might want to wait until you can route it in with your Sheila checks too and just get it done later as well.
I mean, Val isn't the requirement, but Val could actually cover the other part, which is, it's one of those gambles. It's one of those. It's not, this boss will not this boss will make your life miserable, but not actual a hard requirement. So that is just which is kind of important, because there are certain bosses, Val, Golbez, Wyvern, those three are, in many various multiple circumstances, they're very scary, and you want no part of them until you have to deal with them. So early game, it's kind of balanced in the sense that if you don't have to deal with them, there's always the alternate route, and sometimes they do gate the secondary route, and not the worst thing, but still probably worth checking out at some point. I mean, there's still a key item gated behind in the FABUL defense. So hey, it's some sort of guards, Baron guards, or of course, that's how they overthrow the throne. It's the Baron guards.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the runners decide to take another stab at the Valvulus now that Edge is on the team, if this ends up being a hook. If this is the Magma Key, I bet they'll just go straight underground and deal with underground stuff, and then when the time is more natural to go back to the Bull because of Sheila checks, they'd probably take out Val at that point, get some more levels, and just make it even easier.
At least Ogo's in a nice spot. I mean, the Baigan spot.
Yeah.
Not really too punchy, not really too HP heavy. I mean, it's spots with multiple elements, like multiple monsters, like the left and right arms, combined for the total HP pool of that boss spot. So looks like, hey, it's a Palom. Yay! So we're probably replacing Oridia or replacing the Sid. We'll see.
Yeah, decided to take out Rydia, and I think that overall makes sense, especially since Starman looted the 3 chests right next to the Baigan fight, found a Siren there, so once underground can go ahead and crack an egg and really get Palom up to speed very quickly. That's a pretty useful thing to have there. Rydia getting those spells like Quake way later than Palom, and that's really where the Black Mage really finds their most use. Now, if Starman had found a decent summon on Mount Hobbs, that might have been more of a, we'll think about what's going on. And we do have a hook, so now the question is, does Starman want to check that fight in FABUL and see if they can find the Magma Key before dipping the hook route? So that's going to be really interesting now. And yeah, that's a fly to FABUL.
I think you want to probably, like, when you have a hook route, you probably want to defer because you want to get as much experience, as many levels as you possibly can. You're not sure what's there. Like, there's a lot of kind of worst cases, like say that's still in the pool, like D-mists, or like that probably is the I'm not sure of any others off the top of my head, but maybe, or a Baigan. Those are like one of the last kind of bosses where you really do not want to see, but you need enough levels to kind of take care of them, at least the best as you can. So Val is gonna do a sneak. I don't think that was the intended command, I guess, and it happens.
I think Starman was just waiting. I thought was going to cast Berserk with Tellus, and now I don't quite know exactly what's going, but we'll see it very shortly. I'm just going to reset again.
Interesting.
I don't know, a Berserked Edge might have enough. I'm not sure, though, but not going to tempt fate here. Starman going to go get that hovercraft and make the way to the underground. And now, because of that little detour that Starman made, Asmadi is caught up and is now heading over to Evelyn. But it looks like they're both going to go to the castle first, do some looting, and see if they can spike something sweet out of one of the trap chests, possibly.
I think in Starman's case, probably wants the Tella alive. Tella, especially with these chests, one of the better spells like Stone, or maybe use a weak to provide something to the table. Like we don't really want Tella gaining levels, but in this instance, you don't care about the levels. You just want the loot, and you want enough to take care of Val, or at least take care of whatever's at the hook spot, at the specifically the Rubicon, and sometimes what's before it, which can be punchy because that spot not very balanced. King Queen Evelyn, pretty fragile, but they don't punch, and something punches that spot like a mom bomb will have a feel bad moment. But there's a glass helmet, should be good for anyone in the front row or a mage. Just not to be harassed by any punchy spots.
And I'm trying to recall, I think there may have been hourglasses for sale in that lunar shop, but maybe not. A power rope found by Starman. Very nice piece of gear for an attacker here, and looks like going to put that on Sid. Looks like Starman is trying to get ready to fight the Mad Ogres because they are weak to magic, or magic, like Mage Masher, I guess is the best way to put it, attacks. And so that's nice. Amira Same too found, so these ninjas are getting quite strong as well.
They're just right, but kind of strangely a little bit slower than normal. One of the kind of negatives of the Murazame is -5 agility. Could be useful, but you really want the attack multipliers overall, and just the raw damage. Murazame is still pretty solid. You have a pair of them, should be more enough to punch. But I'm not sure if that's enough spell power to one-shot the Black Cats, as Flame not known to be prolific in damage. And let's see if Starman doesn't reset out of this. It's getting pretty hairy pretty quickly.
I don't know if... I know they don't want to because they didn't save after most of the looting there. Oh, I missed what was in there as Asmadi got it done.
Did I see Burr, or did I miss? Oh, it's a dart. Oh, so for now, it's a dart. But Edge probably could solve it. Probably should dart, kind of emergency dart, I think. Survive. It was going to survive, fortunately. Asmadi finding a use for the glass hat for Palom. You don't want your Quake kid to take a nap when you need the Quake. So that's a good decision. Next monster chest. Everything's in the right side, it looks like.
Yeah. All 3 trap chests in the right tower. And now we get the Staleman Skull fight. This is one where Ninja Flame is really useful for. Starman is able to eke it out with that ninja being right there. And it was a crystal sword, so yeah, not a dartable. You can't dart that crystal sword, but if Cecil is found, we are ready for some power.
Yeah, you're literally going to be looking for, like, if they go underground, Dwarf Castle, first check is most likely going to be the first check you want. You want that Burr, and you have power shirts. You have like a pair of them. I mean, you can't go wrong. Although I think you want the power shirt on Edge, as Edge scales the power much more efficiently than Sid. Sid will, I mean, not that Sid doesn't benefit, but in terms of like attack power growth, it affects Edge twice as much as any other character. So it's kind of how when you're dual wielding, and your Edge, you get twice as much more out of it than any other character. Not just like attack multiplier is the same. I think that was the Stardust raw. That should,
yes.
Yeah, that'll definitely get Palom online for sure.
Yeah, that's that's Palom's best weapon in the game. So very nice find there. Can be used as an item if necessary, but it really just boosts that attack power of this black magic, making the quakes and the viruses, which are really the staple of the black mage, do so much more damage. So that's a very nice find there. Now the Mad Ogre's chest, which is the one that we've been the most prepped for, with the having the rune axe in our squad from very early. And we'll see what the prize is here. See if they can spike the adamant armor, which is, I'm sure, the thing that they're most hyped to find.
My question is this even randomized? Mad Ogres in the Mad Ogre chest spot. I mean, like, who is this even? Yeah, probably should have Berserk Sid, as Sid would just one-shot any of them, even in the back row. But that's whatever. It's done. And another weapon for Paladin not in party yet. I mean, we have the Avenger, we have the Defense Sword. Even Kane will be immediately online and take no names. Need to take names. So now I think we'll probably do. Looks like some looting will be done. Try to see if we can get some additional loot and maybe spike the other monster trap chests, hoping for an adamant. I think in this flag set, the adamant probably best used on an edge as well. I know there's some Cecil Go Burr with Adamant is great, but sometimes having a second character who might will to survive a big bang, especially in late game, always you always want always want more offense, but you also want them to survive rocks sometimes.
We see sirens for sale here in the Eblin shop. Very nice to get characters online. I haven't seen a lot of extensive egg grinds because this flight set has yielded a lot more completion to be completed. Like you just get enough experience from doing your fights of the bosses most of the time, so you don't need to grind it. But there are certain times, like when you're first getting to the underground, when you're first getting to the moon, that having a couple sirens to kind of jumpstart your bosses that you have to fight in those situations can make the boss fights themselves go very fast. And here's another interesting character. We have Fusia here, and the Mega Sisters at the spot of the Rubicante. We still have that rune axe that does 4 times damage against the Mega Sisters who are mage types.
It's probably a time to say bye to Tella. If we don't get rid of Tella, Palom might be the secondary yeet. We can't say no to Fu. It's kind of very difficult, especially this early, to say no to Fu. So we'll see. Looks like, hey, Quake Kid, you don't have Quake yet, so here you go. And I'm sure Fu will take whatever Quake Kid have. It's whatever. We'll probably have to check what spells are available. Looks like white is there. That's okay. Well, not quite all the utility. No, not the spells we want. Might hopefully get something out of the first check of bosses in the hook route. Hoping for getting Nuke or Quake or something of use to kind of speed up the fight, as not having good direct damage will slow down the fight. Although white white is passable. It's not the worst spell you have on hand.
We have white, we have Iris. I think that's pretty good. We have Blink, but no Berserk. So it's fine. I mean, he needs a little bit to get him up to speed, but we have Tella for the utility spells right now still as well. So not that bad. We've got Sid with that Rune Axe, which we know is going to be nice against the Mega Sisters. And we've got Edge that's just really decked out, going to be able to chomp through most things that we have. So the question is going to be, what's that boss in the first spot? Meanwhile, Asmadi's still doing looting. Starman, after doing Evelyn Castle, is like, I think I'm good. So I think I don't need to spend time opening these chests here and worrying about that right now. We'll see if this pays off for Asmadi with something really nice, but there's not a whole lot of gear. Like, there's that adamant armor that you mentioned, and that would be a great thing to find. But we also know that we have a pink tail objective on this, so we know we're going to get an adamant armor at some point anyways. So I don't know about trying to spike an adamant armor, but if it does happen, it would be really good. Just a golden apple for AsmadiGames, though.
So right now the difference is Starman kept Teptella, yeeted Palom, Asmadi yeeted I don't remember, but still has the Palom, yeeted Tella. So it will be different between both of them. The Tella is really redundant. It's kind of redundant on Starman's side. Eventually, I mean, you're keeping the Sid. I mean, because you have Mega Sisters, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
We really, the character check following this is going to be just as important. We really want to yeet the Tella or the Sid, and just because we want more power on the spot. And Sid, long term, not going to be kind of long. I know Tella has, his spell power, his spells. Oh, we have Nuke, great. Spell power would be great, but we want more out of that spot. And Sid, long term, not going to be the candidate to stick around for this, at least for now.
Unless Starman wants to use Sid as an anchor. I think a dwarf axe was found at some point, but I might have misread something, because these chests get opened quite fast. And then so you could use Sid as an anchor, get rid of Tella once Who's got all his spells online he can do what Tella can do. So that's an option. You can get rid of Sid for another Berserker and use Tella as the anchor, so you have some extra utility spells. It kind of is runner's choice at this point, which one they prefer to have for a situation like this.
I think we got second Avenger for Asmadi. Interesting loot, but I think looking at the Adamant, I mean, just you're gonna get the Adamant. The question is how early you're gonna get it. And you really should just kind of think of it in long term. You're gonna get it, but you're not just kind of assume you're not gonna get it when you really need it. Like this, you shouldn't be. Yeah, you're gonna get it, but you shouldn't be planning to expect it as soon as possible. You kind of want it. You have to assume the seed is gonna try to screw you over and kind of look at the worst case scenario. But I think that with that being said, I think the looting is just slowing Asmadi down a bit.
Well, it definitely is, and like if it would have been that adamant armor spike, then that would have been really nice. And it is true that they're getting a little bit more XP for the fight, especially with the 4 Mad Over chest being taken. But to your point on the when you need it, we've got an edge with double legendary ninja swords and a power shirt. Like, there's not a whole lot more. Like, yeah, an adamant armor is better than that, but this is going to be good enough to get through basically the entire seed. So that's my counter argument to that. If we didn't have that, then I think, yeah, getting that adamant armor earlier is more important. But I think we're good enough right now.
No, that was kind of my point. But your power shirt is really like two-thirds of the way there. You're as a berserker, if you don't have adamant, power shirt is like your golden ticket. You're already at peak level, really. Adamant will get you an extra multiplier, but what's that? What one multiplier going a little bit faster and a lot of protection? Great. If we had no adamants, well, then you're already at peak form for the as far as you're concerned. So yeah, and Starman is completed under 40 minutes. It was like 42.
Right around 43 minutes, getting to the underground, and at 43:30 finding the Falcon. So, and it's just about a minute later is AsmadiGames going to be right there. So, oh wait, that was just the first fight. Oh, still got the mag system. So going to be about like 2 or 3 minutes behind. Oh, maybe a little more, because looks like Asmadi wants to go back for a safety save as well.
I wouldn't really be worried. I mean, you have Runex and Sid. You just let him berserk him and let him do work. You don't even really need to save, but I mean, just better to be comfortable with that than wiping and then losing the progress. I mean, time. So I can understand this. It's not like, everyone has a different skill level, right? And at this point, sometimes safety is better than wiping, and that's more time off the table that you can't have back.
And it's a situation where it's like there's so many combination of bosses in spots that you just might not have as much experience. Like if Asmadi has never seen the Magus Sisters in this spot, might not be aware of just like what their threat level actually is. Meanwhile, Starman has headed over to the Feymarch instantly after getting underground, checks that chest, gets the pass. So we've got the shortcut to Zeramus once the objectives are complete. And I imagine we're going to get a peek down into the bosses here to see what that objective boss is for the Queen spot. And yeah, heading straight down there to get that peek up. Going to be very interesting, because that's going to be one of those really important things. And we've got, that's pretty nice. That's going to be the Kaipo fight.
Super free. Just need a coffin and then call it a day. It's it's a good day to have free bosses in certain spots. I mean, bosses that are like, they don't have the boss bit. They are so easily to manipulate, so easy to take care of. Sometimes once in a while they'll make it a little bit miserable, but most of the time they're like there's a godsend. But although Asmadi's having a little bit of trouble, only because Pelham isn't at Quake level. So I mean, using Virus still good enough, but Quake would make that fight much easier, and not available, unfortunately.
Yeah, and Asmadi had used a Soma drop on Tella to enable a Mediocast earlier, but since they got rid of Tella on their squad, no falling rocks to be used here. Fire 3 taking down Sandy, but Cindy and Mindy still up. And meanwhile, Starman is going to use the coffin on the officer, and so this fight is basically done. And well played by Starman, getting the positioning perfect for that as well.
Yeah, you want Edge because he's the fastest, practically in every seed. I mean, even during Simon, not slow enough. I mean, these are all the Starman's party has all slow characters. I mean, the slowest being kind of like between a little bit, probably Tella, but Tella's taking a nap, so it's whatever. Everyone else picking up the XP, that's worth it, and we'll see what you get out of it. Cure 4, nice pickup, and a package which it doesn't look, I don't believe that's a requirement, but hey, it's a key item. We're only about 4 key items away, so still need to work up the key items for making the grind a little bit easier.
I think there's an argument for checking that that package character just on the fact that it could be Cecil, and with a crystal sword in our inventory, getting a paladin on our team would not be bad. But if it's anybody but Cecil, it'll be the fastest reset I could do.
Looks like doing the Scythe check early. We don't have the pen. I'm not. I understand this check. I think I would kind of like defer before getting the upgrade. Like basically, bonk, just even talk to Yang before leaving the underground, as there are a lot more checks on the table, like the tower key, or just even doing a dwarf castle, because maybe you do want the Cecil and the key item check, which I think either check would probably best serve before going here, because you might get the pan after coming here.
Yeah, I see that logic, and like personally, I'd probably go to the tower before going down to Sylph Cave as well. However, there's also that Valvulus looming in FABUL Castle, and Starman might be thinking, hey, this is a way that I could do 2 key item checks at once, because now with the power shirt, all that ninja gear that's decked out, and extra items available to dart, gonna not have as much problem with the Valvulus as we had before. So gonna head there, but it's also gonna check this character. It is Kane. I'd reset out of Kane, but we've got Avenger, we've got Defense Sword. Starman thought about it for a moment, but then it's like, no, I'm not gonna wait this long for it.
Yeah, Kane isn't one you'd wait for. It's Cecil. If it's Cecil, you do wait. If it's a Fu, you'd think about it. But Kane, not quite. I mean, you have the weapons, but it's not like the next level. So I can understand the peaking. I would still probably just do Dwarf before even doing that, because at least Dwarf, you get a key item out of it, and you have an opportunity but both spots have gated character checks, so they're both equally valuable in terms of the character check. But I think Dwarf would probably be better served for that check, because you basically do 2 for 1.
Yeah, I get that, but it's also real quick to just take the peek for the package. But yeah, Starman now back at the Valvulus check. Asmadi is in Dwarf Castle, going to get the shop, finds the hourglasses, which are a pretty nice find. And the nuke hitting off on the Valvulus goes down very quickly. And meanwhile, going to do that check in Dwarf Castle, which you seem to be a big fan of there, Deathlike.
I think character checks, when you're still looking for the character, I mean, I think there's still like one possible upgrade from a character check. Like if it's not Cecil, it's someone else. So I think like you can even get maybe second Edge. I think there are more possibilities on that. At least not so much. It's not as interesting in, say, the brackets, but here you want to gamble on the Cecil. I think that's the kind of the theme, because if you don't get power over them, you have the burr, but I mean, like every seed, it has jokes. So you might not. Cecil could be in the giant, and that's kind of like it's too late. It's you're there's not too much. There's like kind of a limited window of trying to get the characters like before to the point where adding another trying to get the character check is not so interesting, and you have that kind of the crystal sword burning a hole in your inventory. So that's just what it is. It looks like I think the Baron Basement looks like to be the next play for Starman. Yeah, looks that seems to be the thing, and I think we'll take a peek. Quake and Meteor, yay! Both. I think Asmadi has due to not having the J spells available. Only needs 1800 HP to have all spells available, and unfortunately, it's Punch Mage.
Yeah, no chance that Yang is going to be taken here. When Starman went to FABUL, just rewarded with a lunar staff and a white shirt for the FABUL defense and Sheila won respectively, but now has a chance. And we have a vanilla Odin down here in the basement of Baron with Nuke and all the things that are in the squad. I think this is definitely doable. We'll see how things go here.
Just go straight to Nuke. Do not think of Lightning 3. Lightning 3 takes too long. You might... And just getting the Berserk off is probably better than a Lightning 3, as Lightning 3, it's only a one-shot, whereas Berserk, you'll get more turns from edge. So this makes a lot of sense. I think Asmadi probably has a finalized party, given what we've seen so far. There's not many more character checks anyways. So I think Sid would probably be Asmadi's anchor, and Starman kind of has two anchors, which is kind of not the best of situations. Maybe if Starman does the Dwarf Castle check, then it's for oh, here's the pan. The pan is
that pan, yeah. But the Twin Harp found in the bottom of Baron Castle, and so completing one objective leads to another, as complete Cave Magnus is an objective on our board today. So this is going to be big for both of them, and it looks like Asmadi's going to go ahead and do the pan, and then is going to probably follow up with those Sheila checks, two of which we know are nothing, but that third could be huge.
Yeah, this is kind of why a lot of people try to defer. You don't want to visit the cave twice unless you really have to. And in Asmadi, it pays off for Asmadi as doing the Dwarf Castle check nets the pan. So yeah, sometimes when you do things can route better. Sometimes it changes your decision. So in Starman's case, I think if say. Eventually when he does the Dwarf Castle check, which is because you want to see what the pan is, but which is a rat tail, not required. We do have the hook that could still be worth whatever check key item check remaining as a result of that chain. We still don't know what that ends up being, and I think Asmadi will route that in with the FABUL check while doing all of that.
And now making their way through Cave Magnus is Starman and crew. One thing of note is, personally, I probably would have swapped airships before heading up here on the off chance that this yields the Earth Crystal, because you never want to bring the red airship to Zot. But if it isn't, then it's not going to be that big a deal either. So we'll see. Meanwhile, Asmadi had found the rat tail from Bonking Yang. So heading over to the Adamant Grotto, we're going to see what this is going to yield here. And we have the Earth Crystal. So I guess Starman's in the clear, and Asmadi has already swapped airships, so they're both good for now.
I would have thought of doing the pan check first. Like sometimes you might get the pink tail from the Sheila 2 check. That's usually
that is a good routing point there. Yeah, without a doubt. But
it happened. It's fine. At least, but we know where Asmadi's going to follow up with Starman.
Right.
Looks like we're going to get some music, as there are just so many songs, and we like harp music. So enjoy some of the songs have been created from our tracker Xenocat.
Yep. Enjoy DJ Spooty B's Rockin' Tunes.
Not familiar with that tune, but it was nice. That's certainly nice, and we'll see the results of this check. A key item we don't actually need, but still counts towards our key item count.
Yeah, one of our composers in the chat, Xenocat, saying it's from the game Lunar, or the series Lunar. So that was just a great harp rendition. I've probably heard the original at some point, but I'm not familiar enough with it to know it on site, but I do like that harp rendition, so very nice. Asmadi now heading over to Zot. They're in the same neighborhood, but they have different key items leading them to different places from Victoria. So really interesting divergence that we're seeing right now, because Asmadi has not gone to the basement of Baron yet.
Right, and probably it makes sense from Starman. It makes sense doing what he did, and Asmadi doing what they did. It like when you're doing in a certain order, it changes how you're routing. So not having peak basement kind of change the kind of what the routing happened to be. Like you knew what's there, and then you had the more than enough power to defeat it. And yeah, it's something that it's one of those decisions not made, and sometimes, and when you have Fu, you are more confident in making those kinds of decisions.
Right. Yeah, like having Fu and this full-powered Edge both say, like, I can make these extra checks that I might not have made if I don't have a really powerful party at this point. Going through the hook route, also getting the gear from the Evelyn Castle, the experience from the hook route and everything together, and the Fu that was found along the way makes it, we're a lot more confident in what we can do.
Looks, and Starman is going to find out, get a Yang. Maybe there's a fair chance that Yang will be taken, though there's also possible that Tella will still be the anchor. We'll see. I think might have to kind of hope that Sid is the anchor, as Sid's agility growth is a little bit faster than Tella. Kind of still is a viable option. We still haven't found the curse ring, which makes this more difficult. We see duplicate edge on Asmadi's side. I'm not sure worth the gamble. I mean, there's probably enough ninja swords available. They're still around. I'm not sure. I don't remember. I don't know what's in Asmadi's inventory to if taking a second edge makes sense. Hey, it's the man of the hour, the man everyone's looking for. Might ditch a Quake Kid for this. I mean, the Quake Kid will need levels to get to Nuke, and Nuke Kid is great, but it takes too long. But we'll see if Cecil comes on for the ride. No, removing. Well, the guy that probably would have been the anchor. No, it's fine. We'll have Fu or maybe Palom. We'll see. But Black right now back row glitching him, now putting on the crystal sword because it's burning a hole in the pocket, and certainly well deserved of more firepower, as we'll find out what is at the Val spot. Hoping, and Starman has completed the second fight in Dwarf. Finding out. Oh, here's a Leviathan. Good time to have Leviathan. Shouldn't be too long. I mean, I don't think Cecil's quite online. Might make more sense to Berserk Edge, as Edge has been doing a lot of the work so far.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense. You want to Berserk your most powerful character as far as physical goes. Lit 3 enough to take out the Leviathan here, and Starman making a play to the tower with the key in hand.
So I think Starman might make the same decision, but if once getting the Earth Crystal, but we'll see. But that also means Starman is behind the 8-ball, at least on the Cecil front of things. Asmadi having a lot more time gained from kind of deferring certain checks and doing a lot of the objectives kind of in while there. I think with the exception of the Odin check.
Right. Yeah, that's one that still looms. Ooh, the Sandra will be a reward from Zod as well, and that is another objective. So another thing going a little bit in favor of AsmadiGames right here at this point, but is leaving Baron, not going to the basement right now. So that's going to be an interesting choice, putting that off still a little bit longer, but going to go ahead and complete objective number 3 with the Cure the Fever. So yeah, this once the runners have gotten underground, the divergence has been huge, and it's unclear as to which one of the runners is going to be more successful based on that.
I think AsmadiGames has gained a bit of time, but I'm not sure but not much of a lead. I think that's a Porum, right. And this is, I mean, this has to be completed, but not a character we want at this point. I don't think there's much value of Porum outside of like having a large MP pool, but we'll see. Looks like Porum's gone, and we see Blarg. And
yeah, Wyvern at the top of the tower is a little nasty, but Foo's strong enough to get through it. You see, the top of the tower doesn't have a great magic power, so even the fact that it is Mega Nuke, still able to get recovered here, and going to start dishing out some damage here. These nukes are still going to hurt on these revived characters, though. We'll see if Starman can revive or recover here.
The nukes aren't the problem. I think the Blarg, if you avoid it, I don't think Sid has no shot of avoiding it. Edge can, although it requires a certain number of levels. Might be a little time consuming for Starman, as not quite enough levels. Nuke would Fu will definitely survive the nukes, but can only take at most 2 nukes. So
yeah,
and that's
the HP value is pretty high here. Luckily for Asmadi, going right back to Baron after doing that Sand Ruby check, remembers the basement, going to get that Odin, and so now is catching up on doing what Starman has done. Starman is going to have to hope that they find something of value here in the tower, and hopefully they don't wipe here on this Wyvern, because this is starting to get a little bit hairy here.
Yeah, Wyvern's scary. This is not the scary spot, but one of more I think it's durable spot. Like, Wyvern is the lowest magic power, but you have the Dr. Luge spot has essentially 4 bosses with a combined HP pool, and that can't be understated. Like, tanky bosses, you are more annoying on the whole, and that's an unfortunate wipe.
Yeah, both of our runners now. Asmadi getting hit with the Odin attack, or the Zantetsuken, to wipe the party there. Starman feeling the burn from the Wyvern at the top of the tower. So both in a rough shape, and Asmadi's going to pass on that Odin for now. Instead, is going to go to the Feymark which I don't believe they've gone to yet. So it's going to be able to complete that fight at the queen spot, because we know it's just going to be those Kaipo guards there.
Yeah, that's the gear. Yeah, I mean, Kaipo guards, not the scariest of bosses.
Right.
I mean, for whatever reason, you kill off the leader. The minions don't know what to do with themselves, so might as well punch each other, call it a day.
They absolutely need leadership. Without it, they have no idea. Round 2 against the Wyvern here. Little bit of adjusting, able to get a Star Veil off on Edge. That means that Starman's not going to be able to cast Berserk on Edge this time around, so that's a little bit unfortunate. Going to go for reviving the Tella first here, and I think that makes a lot of sense, because you want to get a little bit of more of those utility spells, your cures, your Berserks, whatever you need to do at this point. So that makes sense, and you could do extra damage now with Quake.
I'm surprised Reflecting Nuke wasn't on the table for this. I mean, Edge is still upright, but that wouldn't have mattered. At least I guess the Quake worked out, because I thought you have Star Veil up, you want to bounce off spells, but Edge wouldn't have been able to receive it. So it's fine. It worked out. It's just, hey, whatever.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be another tough fight for Starman. This Wyvern is just... You see, when the thing is, like, the way relative agility works, if you've got a slow anchor, yeah, that does make the rest of your characters relatively fast. It also affects enemies, so it's tough. So we saw the adjustment of battle speed to help, but it's still not enough for to get around how fast that Wyvern is going right there, and just able to get those nukes off. The Mega Nuke isn't the scariest part of this fight. It's those reflected nukes that are just cutting the team down to size.
I'm wondering if an Edge in the middle spot be more helpful. I don't think this is a fast spot, so maybe Edge would be better than the Anchor Tella. I'm trying to remember if that's the case. This is not like, I don't remember it being fast, just annoying. But that's not the point. Having the proper angering situation, certainly you still have to probably want, just to be safe, run on Wyvern standard time, which is battle speed 6, as that makes everyone's life a little bit easier, at least as far as in most cases.
We got the dodge on the Mega Nuke from Fusia there, so that's nice. And with Battle Speed 4, able to get a nuke off before Wyvern gets the first wall off, so that's going to be a little bit of a help there.
Yeah, trying to just the DPS Wyvern down early helps a lot. I mean, I don't. Right now, there's no Cecil, so a lot of the weapons being thrown away, not of the greatest concern. You don't know the Cecil's there, so you play as if Cecil's not in the seed, even though we do know Cecil's in Zod. So might not actually. I think, when you get a character, like if like as Madi found Cecil earlier, it makes sense. But the longer the seed is running, the want for Cecil decreases, even though we still have the Crystal Sword in the inventory, and hey, Sealed Cave is on the table and required.
Well, the other interesting thing is, even if you're throwing the other Cecil weapons, since the fact that the Crystal Sword can't be darted, that's always going to be there. So it's not really sacrificing. Yeah, not having access to the Avenger is a little sad for Cecil, but the Crystal Sword is much more important than the Avenger is.
Certainly. I mean, worst case, you Berserk Cecil manually survive through and re-Berserk. But I mean, not sure we found Bacchus one here. So I mean,
I don't remember seeing it.
Yeah. So that, I mean, you can have a Fu. So Berserk is always on the table. So I'm not. Yeah. That's not a huge loss.
And in Starman's team, potentially 2 sources of Berserk if you're going to use Tella, especially like for the final fight. Because if Tella's been on the ground, I imagine if you get Cecil, you're ditching Sid for Cecil at this point in time.
Yeah, looks like Mylon is looks like while you've probably already done the queen, Mylon, not a problem with Cecil with Crystal, as you're doing boatloads of damage. You might as well just let him do his thing and not even worry about it. And the reward, hey.
That is required. So both bosses of the Fey March required. So this is getting interesting because Starman found that Luca key, which is also required as objective 2 is the Seal Cave. We are getting close. I think that's everything that we need to complete it because we've got the Darkness Crystal to get to that Masamune altar. Both of our runners still need to find a few pieces, but we've seen the full piece. We know where everything is in order to complete every objective.
Yeah, as viewers, it's great to be in no mode, but that also means go mode. At least as far as the race is concerned, still kind of far away for them because they don't know they have all the key items required to complete the seed. So, right now, Asmadi has decided adamant armor worth the time. Probably will route in doing the barren basement while you're there. I mean, you have adamant. You should not be scared of the Odin at that point.
Yeah, especially now Cecil's got a lot more levels now. So it like before Cecil was relatively basically brand new. When the last time that Asmadi went to try that fight down there, and now a lot more firepower. Adamant Cecil, we got still the full power ninja like that, and a Fusia. Like this is a very strong team right now. Meanwhile, Starman going to do but instead, Asmadi's going to go to the moon. Ooh, this could be really big, because if Asmadi decides to do other things on the moon, this could be very huge for Starman. Before this, I was thinking Asmadi was in the lead. This might derail them a little bit while Starman is completing objectives that still need to be done on the blue planet.
Yeah, well, I think at the very minimum, right now, Asmadi has the 10 key items required for double XP. So what's likely going to happen is while you're doing, maybe before or after the Masa altar, doing the ribbon room, which is the biggest source of, chunk XP available. So that might be a thing, but we know as viewers, the majority of the objectives, if not all of the objectives outside of the altar, is on the underground. So the longer Asmadi is on the moon, and there's a chance of trying to full clear it, because trying to look for the key items, which are totally unnecessary on the moon side of things, it's definitely right now we're seeing the Mura check. So yeah, looking for key items, and it's going to be unfortunate. Asmadi will have the XP, but will not have the key items that are required on the seed.
Yeah, at this point, it's like Asmadi has skipped the entire tower despite having tower key in the inventory, and not aware that if completing that basement throne with that Odin that wiped once before would lead to the Twin Harp. So yeah, I think we're looking at a full clear of the moon. This water hag here means that we know that the Alt Gauntlet is in Cave Bahamut.
Well, but that might be maybe more unfortunate. At least we know it's Alt Gauntlet, unless we really need to grind. And this team, outside of getting Cecil there, but I think just even doing the ribbon room will get Cecil up there to get the levels, XP for the levels he needs to be really online right now. You have the equipment, but really need the levels to balance that out. So at least we found both parts of the forge, though.
This is an actual nasty fight here. One of the scarier places to find Rubicant is down here at the bottom of the sealed cave. Very fast, high magic. We do have an Ice Claw for the edge for Starman here, so that's going to help, but man, those Fire 2 counters are really eating at the life total so quickly. We're going to have to hope this counter doesn't take out edge.
Yeah.
And it does. That's tough.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Evil World does not need all that spell power. Has all the speed because bosses be fast, but there's nothing. They're not like instant death. The crush doesn't need 100. It doesn't need really much spell power. the counter for the the gradual petrification, the calcify, it doesn't need any spell power. So all that excess spell power being channeled into Rubicant is making Edge pretty miserable.
And Asmadi heading further down into the lunar subterranean after the Murasame altar. So we'll see if it's going to be a detour to the Crystal Sword or right down to the bottom next.
I think probably one of the, I mean, if you're really looking for key items, then you're probably going to veer a bit more towards the Crystal Altar for the extra key item check. But I think probably the primary objective really is, besides the key item checks, is the XP for Cecil. So it's more likely for the kind of the bottom up check at this point after doing the Mur altar, but kind of we'll see what Asmadi decides to do. Yeah,
if the plan is to full clear, then either way it doesn't really matter. But Starman able to get through that fight, did some really nice recovery. It was not easy, but used enough heals and the power of the ice claw to get through that Rubicant fight.
Yeah. What things like Rubicant, this has this cloak of ice, but the funny thing is that he also loses his kind of absorption to fire. But the other thing is, in both phases where this cloak is open or closed, despite the battle script saying only normal weakness to ice, it still keeps the extra weakness to ice. It's one of those things, FF4 things where bugs are features. Well, if you have like an Ice Brand, Blizzard Spear, Ice Claw, they make Rubicant one of the most trivial bosses to fight. When you don't have the ice weapons, it's a little trickier. But you can nuke all the things just as well.
Now AsmadiGames finding the Bahamut here, able to take it out before it mega nukes, easy peasy. Now we'll get another check here at the Crystal Altar, Crystal Sword Altar, that is. And the spoon has been found. Where's Edward? Let's go back and get him. He's in Mysidia.
Well, a little too late. If you're diving LST, it's Edward Bard kind of eat it for life at this point. It's just not. It's too late. It's unfortunate.
Well, it is a very nice situational dart now for Edge. I like using it on lunar bosses in particular when possible. So I think that's going to be nice. Starman now with the rat tail in tow, going to head on up over to the Adamant Grotto. It's going to make the play that we mentioned Asmadi didn't make, which is go and talk to Sheila before actually entering the Adamant Grotto. Just dropped off the hovercraft for now. So if this was going to be the pink tail, we know it's not. It's going to be this was where the I forget what Sheila 2 was. I'm getting all my key item spots mixed up now.
We'll be reminded immediately as it's a ribbon.
Just a ribbon. Yeah. So the rat tail turn-in is the Earth crystal. So,
which probably we'll still probably check it on the way. I think Starman's done Odin's spot, so that's not on the table. So we'll have to follow it. We'll probably follow it because there's not much. I mean, unless you want to do an LST dive, and I think Starman is probably, at least at this point, not as interested. At least not yet.
I agree.
So Starman's kind of basically earthbound decision probably will pay off if this keeps being followed.
Right. Starman has done everything on the blue planet except Zod. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense to leave just that one thing on the Earth. It made a lot more sense when AsmadiGames went to the moon, deciding to make that play before doing a bunch of the checks on the blue planet. But if you're doing this much, you might as well finish it off with Starman, and that's going to pay off. And this is going to put Starman in a pretty big lead, I think.
Yeah. I mean, Asmadi had some time-saving lead from early combine checks that made sense. But I think Starman, given with the situation, and might pick up the Cecil. I think there's still a good chance that Starman will pick up the Cecil once finding it, and then we'll try to get the grind in from the Ribbon Altar to kind of get Cecil up to speed. This really popular spot.
And I'm sorry, our tracker Xenocat reminding us that there is one other check on the blue planet that Starman hasn't done, and that's that Mylon Z fight down in the Feymarch in the King spot. Starman did the Queen spot, which is required, but passed on the Mylon fight while down there originally. So that was required. So we'll see if Starman does make that play or decides to last check it. Depending on if Starman goes back down to the Feymarch before going to the moon, then I think Starman's in the lead in this race. Otherwise, I could see Starman going up and full clearing the moon, and I think that puts Asmadi back in the driver's seat.
Yeah, I think when Starman finds the Cecil and takes the Cecil, then it will more likely to drive, because we know it's a Mylon's at that spot. So it's kind of, we know who the boss is. Like, Starman knows what the boss is, so it might favor Starman finishing up the King spot before going to the moon. And unless, but it depends strongly on whether first that picking up the Cecil in the first place, because the Crystal Sword will drive the decision most likely.
There's that, but there's also the fact that, does Starman want to use just one Siren and maybe do either a Warlock or a Gold Dragon grind on the moon to get Cecil up to speed, or want to do an egg or two? I don't know how many, if any, Sirens Starman still has in their inventory.
Really just need one. I mean, Starman has double XP, I think, from counting.
Yeah,
so even a short egg grind will get Cecil up to speed pretty easily. So it doesn't have to be on the moon. It'd be like a kind of a convenience. Get the one egg, and it's done. Cecil's online. Let's just do it. That's again depends on what we find, what is found, and plague at Masa. I mean, it's an easy fight, but can kind of get away quickly if not dealt with appropriately.
And we see the Kamikaze being used to knock out Palom. This is going to be a defensive play now. You can use the life potion, as you see, on Palom, and then Plague is going to think, hey, one of the characters does not have a countdown going, better re-up the countdown. And that's a way to just keep this fight very safe in order to complete it done. So now you can keep doing that, knock out Palom, re-life him up as much as you need. So yeah, it's going to be easy for Asmadi to complete this fight. Meanwhile, Starman did decide to keep that Cecil. Not really surprised, as we've been talking about, had two potential anchor characters, and does decide to get rid of the Cid in favor of the Paladin, keeping the Sage knocked out, low agility for being an anchor for the rest of this seed. Yeah, I mean,
you kept the Tellus along, and Cid, they're kind of both redundant in being a potential anchor, and keeping Telehound so long, you want to replace the Cid. Like, Cid is your limited offense character. He can only go so far. So the difference between Cid and Cecil is just like an order of magnitude in power. And we'll see what Asmadi gets, but it's definitely not what Asmadi is going to be looking for. We'll realize, everything is on the on Earth, and we did the required objective. So hey, it's vanilla.
Yeah, Masamune now equipped, and objective number 4 completed for AsmadiGames, as Starman has completed the Tower of Zat, and I believe that's where the pink tail was given, right? Or I'm getting everything mixed up.
I think we get the pink tail.
Oh, Sand Ruby.
Yeah, Sand Ruby for this.
Oh, pink tail from
the King.
Yeah.
Yeah. We know, and the Legend Sword is in Sealed Cave, but we don't really care. Outside of completing it, we're not going to do Forge unless we really want to shop there. Although I think it's more likely to happen in Starman's favor, I think. Do the check and then finish that off. I think Starman's certainly in the driver's seat. Just as long as Starman goes underground. If Starman decides to, that'll be the turning point for this match. Like Asmadi knows where it is. Although the moon is not finished, as Asmadi has decided. Might be Alcohol.
Yeah, Asmadi still hasn't done tower, so doesn't know where Luca Key is, and hasn't done the basement yet, so doesn't know where the harp is. So is committed to full clearing, which means we're going to get an alt gauntlet fight up here in Cave Bahamut.
I mean, it's second grind. Who doesn't like second grind?
Asmadi's got a lot of levels coming here.
Yeah, you get double XP, and you're doing the alt gauntlet. Yeah, it's CISO will be boring.
Starman, you're going to the moon. This brings it back in Asmadi's favor in my mind.
Yeah, because the full truth will be known by Asmadi, as everything is going to be underground. So all that time spent grinding will make everything even easier than before. So can't go wrong. But looks like in Starman, we'll be doing we'll be at least doing the requirements. Probably also do Ribbon Altar to get Cecil fully online. More levels, more burr. So
yeah, this is a play that I've definitely made before, where it's like I go down to the Fey March early. Like this was the first thing that Starman did when they got underground, was go to the Fey March, got the freebie check, was able to complete the objective down there from the Queen spot, wasn't feeling comfortable and able to take care of that King spot in Mylon Z right away, and that makes sense. And then at that point probably decided, I'm fading this, I'm going to do everything else before I come back here. And that's exactly what's going to happen. And I think, like I said, before then, I thought Starman probably had a bit of a lead here. Now I think AsmadiGames has a bit of a lead. The only thing is, I think the only fade that Starman might have left is this alt gauntlet.
I don't think Starman even knows that there is even an alt gauntlet.
Well, as soon as Starman sees that blue robe, because Starman's already fought Waterhang, or will have fought Waterhang.
Yeah, but I'm saying he hasn't checked. He hasn't checked K value first yet. So
right.
So it's not. I mean, we definitely know what the blue robe will be. It's that.
Right.
That check hasn't even occurred. Looks like the grind is here with the King Ryu's. Got to get Cecil productive as a low-level Cecil, not a very productive Cecil. So this makes a lot of sense. You don't want to, like, low-level Cecil is just kind of an anchor, like not going to be productive. You just even one fight will get Cecil reasonably enough to take on those fights without being kind of a hazard. It looks like I missed where Porum. I think Porum was on the altar, I guess. So that. So there's the Yidatella. We call it reset the anchor. Makes a lot of sense.
Porum was the character from the Sand Ruby. And so decided to go with Porum instead of a base level Porum instead of a Tella, who had some levels as the anchor. Either way, they're not going to be contributing much to the thing, where the other three characters are the squad.
Yeah, and looks like Asmadi is doing a grind. Oh no, this is the last part of the alt gauntlet.
Right.
Shouldn't be too bad. I mean, you have the levels, and hourglasses make everything safe, especially alt gauntlet. In most spots, I think the only spot that you really can't use is like the lunar subterranean. I think the crystal altar or the Mura spot, the Masa spot. Sorry, the Masa spot, as there are sets of enemies that don't care if you try to use the hourglass, because they don't care.
And that's it for Asmadi on the moon. They have full cleared the moon now. Gets an adamant armor is a prize. That's not bad, but now knows everything needed was on the blue planet. So now it's got to get back. I wouldn't be surprised if Asmadi peels behind after full clearing that moon, but little do they know, Starman is walking in their footsteps right now.
Yeah. It's a good time as any to mention everyone involved in the broadcast of the stream. Scala with the restream, Xeno on tracker, and my co-commentator Rexwell. And
yeah, big shout outs to all of them. Without them, we don't have a show, and we love putting on. We've done so many restreams for this event, and we love putting them on for you.
So this effectively some kind of retracing. It looks like no ribbon room, but Starman's doing the objective, which is very appropriate. And then we'll see where Starman goes from there. I found frequently on this particular flag set, it's usually one key item on the moon that like one. Sometimes it's not the one you want. And in this instance, it's just the objective that's on the moon that we care about, and there are zero. So it's like either one objective. It depends on how it's rolled. If there are no moon objectives, there's one key item on the moon. So there's one objective on the moon. Generally, there is not a follow-up key item, but sometimes there is. So in this instance, it's right now. I think.
So, yeah. So what you're saying, Deathlight, is it's random.
Random be random. I rolled a scene for myself the other day where everything was on the moon. Like one spot, no key item, everything else required. Moon dive full required. Even cave value pitched in.
Question from the chat: are runners allowed to check what mission the other has done? No, it's done completely blind of what the other person is doing. The only thing you'll know is if you're watching the race room when they've finished the entire run.
Yeah, to mostly prevent cheating. You can't they're supposed to be blind to each other until the done happens. They don't know who's done what. And they can't watch each other's stream. So, and Lottie knows it's just a race of time. That clock, the ticking clock on Starman, is what he decides at this point. So Lottie knows what has to be done because everything that has to be done. There's some music. There's and the queen spot and the tower key. That's still quite a bit to be doing.
Well, the queen spot was already done by Asmadi. It's the cave Magnus that needs to be done, as well as the seal cave. So that's top of tower, and we'll give the Luca key, and then looks like going to be heading right over to Cave Magnus to complete that right now. And so, yeah, right now Asmadi, I think, is in a pretty heavy lead.
Yeah, this is easy. This is ideal routing. I mean, you have a twin harp into Earth Crystal. No, we already have done Earth, so
yeah.
So just it's then what was it?
The only thing that Asmadi's going to have left after this is Tower. So it's going to go there. Has to defeat the Wyvern at the top of Tower to get that Luca key in order to complete objective number 6.
Yep. Every character outside of the anchor should have more than enough magic evasion.
Oh yeah.
Just the face tank the Blarg. I mean, spell power not too high. There's like what two
sets of adamant armor too.
Yeah, you're like Blarg. What Blarg? Not. I mean, Blarg at other spots will still be punishing, but this instance not very punishing. So, it's not as bad. Fortunate.
Meanwhile, Starman's still clearing out these spots at the bottom of the moon. This is the evil wall that was found in the vanilla white spear altar. So we've got that, and now we're about to get a little bit of a reprise of some beautiful music that we heard before. So we're going to take a little bit more time to be quiet so that y'all can enjoy it one more time for more of DJ Spoon B's Rocket Tunes.
It's like over 300, 400 tunes, all harp tunes. I mean, Who says no to harp?
All right, a little bit shorter this time around because this is very high-level characters fighting that Demas and Cave Magnus. But I'll tell you that I'm not that familiar with the original, but that is moving up my list of my favorite harp songs. That is a beautiful rendition.
Yeah, it's hard. It gives you an additional appreciation for pretty much any game music. It's just incredible, and putting it into harp form, it's just like another level of just enjoyment, just pleasure of listening to it. It's it's good for the ears for sure.
And Asmadi rewarded with that magma key that's not very useful, but also will point them in the right direction, knows that they have to go to the tower next. Starman taking a heal, which makes me think, is going to go to cave value. Yeah, and I think it's going to be that alt gauntlet versus that alt gauntlet, and then into the Mylon Z fight is what Starman needs to do. Meanwhile, tower into Cave Magnus for AsmadiGames. This is still kind of close. I definitely think Asmadi has the lead, but it's... Oh, wait, we have the Mira altar too. Oh, I forgot about that. Has to beat that water hag.
Yeah, then we'll probably reset out of that because not keep the key item being
right
before. So yeah, the time that clock is ticking, and usually you try when you're trying to do the save, you probably want to do it either kind of in between both objectives, the super cannon item door opening location for the tower key, or in the top of the tower.
I just think you don't save. You don't need it.
Yeah,
your squad. You're not scared of any fight here at the top of the tower.
Yeah, there aren't too many bosses left, and I mean, not everyone runs a boss tracker, but when you do, you know exactly what's left on the table, and I think there aren't. I'm not sure what boss is completely missing. I think we've practically visited every boss spot except for package boss spot. Yeah. So yeah, there's
and like Miss Cave, Watery Pass, but yeah.
Usually those spots, at least in this flag set, are only really effective of trying to get Fu online. In Free Enterprise, Fu does not get his full set of spells, starts at 500 HP, needs 14 boss battles to get him fully up to where he normally is. So takes a while and requires boss fights. So if you get a Fu early game, like say you get Darkness Crystal early and you get a Fu on the moon, well, you might be worth the time to just pick up a few boss battles at Miss Cave or the waterfall spot, just to get Fu online. You need all the spells, and sometimes now is more important than later. And you want the early nuke, or even just or exit. Those they're equally valuable early game.
Okay, the moment of truth is coming up here because Starman is going to go down to the bottom of Cape Bahamut here, going to see that blue robe, having just fought that water hag, will know that this is absolutely the alt gauntlet, and will have to make the decision: do I want to fade this, or do I want to go back, or do I want to continue fading that Mylon fight down at the bottom of the Fey March? I think by walking, you've got to commit to it, but that's. Yeah, I'm gonna fight it. No reset here, which means this is. I think this is Asmadi's race to lose now.
Yeah,
I think that was the last hope, and even then, I think it was still a big advantage for Asmadi.
Yeah, sometimes the early fades don't pay off. You can still make up time as as runners. Your opponent will make mistakes. They will make the wrong checks, as we know. Both of them have made Asmadi has done essentially full clear. Doesn't need the full clear, just needed one altar, full clear of the moon. And sometimes those kinds of decisions do impact the race times. Not just who is the winner, but just how much time has passed. So the longer it goes, you kind of get a feel of how long before the match is kind of over for you, I guess.
Right. And the other thing to consider on that is, essentially, both of these runners have full cleared this seed. They've done every check. They've reset a couple of times so they, when they didn't need whatever was there, but they've gone through the motions everywhere. And, the big difference is kind of luck-based into what key items were given and where, because they both decided to do a full clear of the moon, but Asmadi had found the Cecil earlier, relatively speaking, and was able to get that Adamant Armor Cecil Crystal Sword up quite a bit earlier than Starman. Starman did a lot of the checks while still having Sid on their team, and so that kind of made all these extra things that were done were able to be done a lot quicker on Asmadi's side, and that is really the key. And that's, for both of them, I think they both made some logical decisions, and some of them just didn't pay out.
Yeah, sometimes even if you say you do a full clear Fey March, you do both bosses, they might not turn out to have what you need.
Right.
And that happens a lot. Sometimes you fade it and you've gained some time to do that. But
absolutely.
And just as well, because one of them has the key item, but maybe gated it up with a terrible boss. So there's a lot of combinations in Rando. Rando being Rando, you just sometimes you make decisions, it doesn't pan out. That's okay. It's not your fault. The randomizer has jokes. It doesn't hate on anyone. You are lucky it went your way too. It's there is no such thing as a perfect race. Sometimes things fall into a racer's lap, and it just works out that way.
And that fight there with Rubicon is kind of like the symbol of how this race went for our two runners. Because Starman was played really well and was able to get through that fight using the Ice Claw on Edge and a few key heals and revivals from Fusia in order to get through it, but just able to scrape by. Meanwhile, Asmadi is tanking these glares, taking 1 HP damage because of the Adamant armors, and gets through it without even having to do much. That's the power of the Adamant armor, and getting it early for these checks just shows how that's really the difference in how well these two have been getting through these seeds. Starman, now knowing the bad news, has to go back down to the Blue Planet, to the Fey March, to fight that Mylon Z. Meanwhile, Asmadi warping out of the sealed cave with the crystal in tow, and we've just got a Z fight left, folks.
Yeah, it's at least the Alkaline did give away the prized possession of this entire league. You can't say no to it.
Even.
Yeah, you can't say no to the Adamant armor, but you feel bad on the other at the same time. It's there's a feels good and it feels bad at the same time. It happens. It's a mixed reaction. Trying to get the big whale planted at at the proper spot can be difficult. I think it's kind of funny. It's hilarious. Looks like, but yeah, we do need to put it park in the right place to get the item, and Asmadi using the pass because yes, saves time, because even the lunar subterranean LC walk, that's kind of lengthy.
All right, and as Asmadi is making use of the shortcut in Toria to get to the bottom of the lunar core, we're starting to see the Z flags fly, which means it's time to ask a question. Do you want to ask it today, Deathlike?
Sure. Zeromus, that final boss, he likes to cosplay, and as such, as things go in a randomizer, we can make him look like anything. Scala Kitty, Resident Artist, and others have contributed to the wide range of cosplay that Z can perform. So, or what, 400, 500, some incredible. Some number, more than I can have ever seen. So, the question we all ask is, whose butt are we going to kick tonight or today?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, because it is butt time, and Asmadi has now entered in the fight using the crystal at right around 146.55. Starman just about to go fight the boss for Mylon, the final fight needed before getting the crystal, but Asmadi now ready, and we're seeing, looks like we've got a doggo here.
Yes, because, that dog has a lot of meaning. I mean, who doesn't love their internet memes? The dog everywhere. Oh, that I can't. I'm just trying to place it. There's just so many dog references. It's hard to place. Yeah, Mario Paint was a lot of fun back in the day, and I couldn't paint worth much.
Here comes the first big bang over on AsmadiGames side. Successfully nerfed. Very easy to nerf the first one. If you're planning on nerfing, the rest of them are a lot more difficult. You see the elixir coming out. Full heal of both HP and MP. If you've got it in your inventory, might as well use it, especially on something like Fusia, who does not have a lot of MP to start with.
Interesting, not trying to berserk edge. I mean, although berserk Cecil's crystal sword is just as good, but you want to kind of jam the Q, make Z not make your life a little bit miserable. At this point, it shouldn't be too long. And edge, getting pretty nasty nuke to the face, but hey, elixir cures all things. When you're not dead.
It looks like that was an attempt to nerf the second big bang. We'll see if that was successful in a moment. And now here actually no, it was a little bit early. That might have just been a slow.
Usually, especially with power overwhelming, I mean, you're probably getting from second, effectively the second phase, the
They
first
could have been
set.
a phase change too, yeah.
Yeah, that typically happens. Although it looks like it might not went through. We'll see.
I thought it was early for that, but sometimes I'm not keeping track of damage numbers either. That was a full-powered Big Bang, but the squad's quite strong, so able to take it without a problem. You see Edge, even though not Berserk, is darting for as much damage as possible. And we are at Rock's Falling now, so we are in the last phase of the Zeromus fight.
Just one or two good hits, and it's a day. Not enough Edge alone, but hey.
There we have it.
There it is.
There's the flash, and AsmadiGames has finished the game right as Starman walking up to Zeromus at a time of 1:49.51. Big GG's to AsmadiGames. GG's to Starman too, but Asmadi, the winner, moving to 2-1, and we will see if they want to come in for an interview.
Yeah, GG's to AsmadiGames. I mean, and there's Marty is.
Hello.
GG today, and congratulations on your win.
That happened.
It certainly did. Yeah, there was a lot going on in this scene, to say the least. Why don't you give us your initial thoughts to start with?
Well, the good news is there was a lot going on in that scene, and we got to see every single piece of it, every boss, every key item, every single thing. The gauntlet at Bahamut, because why not? Wait, the gauntlet at Bahamut, great idea.
Yeah.
It's a winning idea. Although, you know what, to be frank, that experience in that Adamant, in my opinion, was not actually that bad of a time dump in the end, because it made Zeromus simple.
Right, you didn't have to having that second piece of adamant armor just made that Zeromus fight that much easier, right?
Yeah, but yeah, that was wild. I felt way behind, which is why I even did that, because I was like, the only way I'm winning this race is if something stupid is at Bahamut Gauntlet, because I knew it was there because I had scouted it and I had seen Water Hat.
Right.
Otherwise, I don't think I would have gone there. Yeah, that was interesting.
And the hits were pretty rough at the beginning of the scene too. Like you had that nasty Valvulus over in the at FABUL. What were you thinking in the early part of the scene, especially when you get that early darkness crystal? Just find a bard up there.
Yeah, so I scouted Baron in, and it was Edge, and that was super
Right.
good. And that good news was enhanced by the fact that there were a million Edge swords in the early game. So I was kind of prioritizing getting back there as soon as I could. I had Sid with the Rune Axe, but it felt. I saw Val at Baron. I'm like, you know what? Forget this. You can hang out and live in Baron Castle, 20 minutes. Let me get Tella online at Ordeals and see if that's enough to get through whatever the Edge fight is. Turned out it was, because that was mostly free. Tossed a Cure 3 potion at my lawn and said bye.
Yeah.
And yeah, having Edge meant that I was at least in good shape for the first game. And then hopping into Eblon, finding that crystal sword, it became the hunt for Cecil. And that's why, you know, I immediately went to Dwarf Castle, immediately went to Earth Crystal, paid off. Had the man with the sword.
Yeah, that really seemed to help you. But one other question that I had was, when you decided to make the play to go to the moon, you still had some checks you hadn't done. You had seen that Odin down, it knocked you down once, but you also had plays like that tower that you hadn't done yet. What was your thought process in deciding to go to the moon instead of finishing up the blue planet first?
So I had to do Mass Mew no matter what.
Right.
And I think at that point I had the pass. So
Yeah.
my thinking there was I would rather do the moon first and be on Earth with the pass than the other way around. Because all things being equal, it was about a 50-50 shot whether the stuff was on Earth or on the moon. Turned out to be a split, maybe? One thing on Earth?
I
One
think
thing
there
in
was
Tower, yeah.
Yeah, the Luca Kian tower, but there was also the harp that was behind that Odin as well. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, so
But-
I had to do both. Doing the moon first was easier because I had.
Deathlight, did you have any questions for AsmadiGames?
No. I mean, I think a lot of the you kind of try to have a decent number of chains going. This thing is, what outside of doing a lot of the character checks early, was there any thought of doing more of the underground before, like doing everything on Earth, like in terms of like, there were just, I think everything, a lot of, I mean, we know after the fact that everything was on Earth, and outside of the objective, was there any thought to leaning towards finishing everything, like just completing the Earth, everything on the Earth first?
So that's what we would call the smart. And so I am in a group with a bunch of people who are very good at free enterprise. I still have to play Possum and Flurry. And that means that my strategy for the tournament has often been, okay, this is the smart play. I'm going to do the other thing in case it pays off. Because that's how I feel like I have the best shot at winning some of these matches. So, I kind of go, as long as it's not completely ridiculous. Like, I'm not going to fade Antlion to save 20 seconds. But if I've got a 50-50-ish shot and one side looks a little bit better, I'm going to go the other direction just to see if I can get that way. And I got 2 edges.
Well, and that does put you to 2-1 in, as you mentioned, a quite stacked, a very difficult one. You just defeated a pretty formidable opponent in Starman, too, who unfortunately drops to 1-2. Do you know when your next race is scheduled so that we can check that out?
I'm playing tomorrow at 9 and Thursday at 8, or the other way around. I forget which one's which. But I'm playing Flurry tomorrow and Possum on Thursday. Close
All right,
out.
well, good luck. You've got a tall order coming up on you, but if you can get the Adamants at the right time like you did today, you could have a lot of success. Did you have any final thoughts about today's race?
No, it was a lot of fun. GG's to Starman. Thanks to the team and the people and everyone who makes the chat. Have a good Tuesday afternoon.
All right. Well, that was our winner, AsmadiGames. GG's once again, moving to 2-1 in this full moon group. A very exciting group right now, coming down to the wire. Really looking forward to what happens there. Starman has declined an interview, but they're at 1-2, so it's going to be really tough for them to do anything left in here. But wish them all the best in their final races. I want to once again shout out the restream team that we had today. Scala Kitty doing the restreaming and Xenocat on the tracking. Thank you very much. And my co-commentator Deathlike. It was really fun calling today's race.
It was a lot of fun. I mean, who doesn't love full completion seeds? I mean,
yeah,
we saw everything. Couldn't practically everything. I mean, who doesn't want to do all 28 out of 28 possible objectives that could actually appear? So yeah, who doesn't love all this information?
Absolutely. And now that's going to be it for right now, but we do have more free enterprise on the docket today. If you check us out a little bit later today at 7 p.m. Eastern, you're going to see Night Dew versus Vitasia, and that one will be on RPG Limit Break. An hour later at 8 p.m. right here on Free Enterprise, it's going to be Rybon versus E-Ninja. And then finally at 10 p.m. Eastern on Free Enterprise 2, you're going to see Step Lively versus Clopper. So a lot more Free Enterprise coming at you today. I want to thank you all for joining us and watching today, and I hope you have a great afternoon now. Take care.
Yep, see you all next seed.